Welcome back to Life's Deceit with me, your girl, Jen Simpson. How are you guys doing? How is your day? How's your morning? How's your afternoon? Wherever you are in the world, welcome back. Welcome to my new listeners. Welcome to my number one subscribers. Guys, I'm waiting for you guys to start leaving some comments. Let's chat it up. Let's get connected. Join my WhatsApp channel. We have amazing things going on in the group that you guys need to be aware of. You need to subscribe to. I'm going to make you laugh because you know your girl is hilarious. Am I not hilarious? I am, right? Guys, today we have a very special guest that I'm excited to share with you guys. Her name is Rikki West. She is an author and speaker who shares her personal journey of self-discovery, healing, and finding truth in life's messiness. You know, life can be messy. Life is messy right now, guys. And, you know, self-discovery is not an easy thing. Finding ourselves, figuring out who we are is not as easy as it sounds. And Rikki, she has written 2 books. Her first book, Root Lines, is a memoir of family healing. It was published in 2020. And then she continued her journey and said, you know what? I need to dive deeper. And she wrote her second book, Empty Bowl, Pursuing Truth in a Messy Life. She delves into navigating life's challenges while searching for deeper meaning and peace. Rikki's work focuses on accepting life's imperfections, seeking authenticity, which we're all looking for, and embracing personal growth. Guys, I'm excited about Rikki because she's about to pour into us. You know, we go through life, and as we go through life, we're going through a stage where we're going through different seasons and we're trying to figure out who we are. We're trying to figure out what we're about. We're trying to figure out what we like, what we don't like. And I find that figuring out who we are is one of the most challenging things to do. Because society, whether it be society, our family, our friends, our peers, co-workers, they all tell us who we are. But who are we for ourselves? Who are we actually? Who are we as people? The individual that who God called you to be. Who are you? And Rikki West is here to tell us about her journey, her life through the messiness, figuring out who she is all throughout the messiness. So guys, without further ado, welcome Rikki West. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited to be on your show, and I thank you so much for that. And I spent the day hiking with family members down here south of Palm Springs at the on the Indian reservation down here out in the sun, and just
Nice.
really enjoying being alive and being with loved ones. So it
I
was
love
beautiful.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. I truly, truly, truly enjoy when people say they get to just enjoy life with loved ones because,
Yeah.
you know, times have changed. Like, people aren't really living as long as they used to. There's so much chaos happening in the world.
Right.
And I'm like, somebody was like to me, oh, you know, I'm turning 35. And I'm like, that is a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to age
Yes.
and
Yes.
still be here with our loved ones and enjoy life and, you know,
Yes.
learn more, right?
I feel in these times we are so challenged with respect to having the liberties that we hope to have. Whoever we are, we're
Yeah.
seeking more liberty in our world, and I think that's a big personal challenge. How to enjoy our lives while we're in this kind of conflict, while we're sorting out all these fundamental things.
Yeah. I agree.
To, to share your joy is our best offense.
Yeah. I love your energy. I love your presence.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for reaching out to be on the show. I'm excited to I say I don't call these interviews. I call them fireside chats
Great. Yeah.
because
Oh,
fireside chat Now you can relax now.
Yeah, it's great.
Fireside chats, I find that we can connect more on a deeper level rather than just somebody asking you questions and you're like, yeah, okay, I did that, I did this. No,
Mm,
let's connect. Let's figure out our experiences are what shapes us, right? Our
yes,
experiences are what help other people to get through their own hard times and battles in life. So
yes,
I call them fireside chats because I like to feel relaxed. I like to feel like we're humans, we're friends, we are learning collectively and we're
yes,
embracing each other.
great.
So, where are you from?
Well, my name is Rikki West, and I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and spent time in California. But now I've retired. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I happen to be on an RV trip across Arizona and into California, where I am meeting friends who live and family who live in LA. So,
Nice. So, you're from Illinois, you said,
yes,
and now you live in New Mexico.
yes.
Interesting switch. What made you move to Mexico?
Well, um, I tell this story in my book, which
Yeah.
I would like to introduce to your listeners. But um, I grew up my first early teens in the suburbs of Chicago and in the city. And my father moved us to Los Angeles because he became a television comedy writer, which
Wow.
was a pretty exciting life, except that they were all, particularly my father, alcoholics. And he was a bad alcoholic. He got mean and violent. And so we have that whole story. And of course, as coming out of that family, I became an alcoholic myself
Mhm.
and had to deal with addiction and getting through that. So um, I got myself to Northern California and into college, into graduate school with no prospects of any career, despite my
Yeah.
degrees. And the tech industry started up, and they were just hiring people who had been through college. So I got into the tech industry and spent my career there. And when I retired, I needed to get away out of California because, unfortunately, because of fires,
Yeah.
as is happening now, and crowds and the cost of living. So we retired to Santa Fe, and it's extraordinarily beautiful. I'm very happy we did. And my spiritual journey kind of comes to fruition there, like it's a big circle.
Yeah. I did read that about your spiritual journey. What would you say your childhood was like? Because I find that our childhood
Yeah,
shapes who we become as an adult,
yes,
from the
yes,
teachings that we're raised on, the environments that we're raised in, our parents, the things that they expose us to, even our
yes,
career choices. Sometimes unknowingly, we don't realize that our career choices are influenced by our environment as a child and our parents.
yes,
So, what was your childhood like? I know you said that your dad was an alcoholic.
yes. Um, It, my childhood was such that I used to pray that my dad wouldn't drink, but particularly that God wouldn't send him to hell. Because I loved that guy. And he was such a nice guy when he wasn't drunk. And he was such a bad guy when he was drunk. And it was just a bad cycle. But for me, I started out wanting to rescue him from having to go to hell for being so evil to my mom and us as kids. Um, so we had a beautiful family on the outside, and I'm sure there's a metaphor for this, but
Yeah,
crumbling, kind of very difficult. We never faced any problems. We never talked about anything. We never got any life coaching. We used humor because my dad was a comedian. We used humor to avoid telling the truth and being present and being real, just
yeah,
like a defense
yeah.
game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And uh, and I came out of that with no ability to be intimate with other human beings. I didn't know how to be vulnerable or honest, or and I had a facade that I kept up with drinking. I got so messy with that that I had to give that up, and I got through AA and got sober.
You said you had to. It was a facade.
Yes,
I call it like wearing a mask, right? So when I called like my podcast name Life's Deceit, is because we live a life that's full of deceit, right? So for
yes,
me,
I
I
see.
I can relate to that as a child. Picture perfect on the outside, but so much pain on the inside and blocking it.
Yes.
So when I went out, I had this perfect smile, like everything was great at home. Nobody really realized that I was
Mm-hmm.
dying on the inside from the things that I was
Right.
facing at home. So I find that even now in generations, our new generation now,
Yes,
a lot of people are living a facade. They're wearing this mask. They're hiding behind a mirror.
yes. And if I could just take that to another level, almost by design as a person,
Mhm.
I grow up thinking I am this limited being, limited to my flesh, my body, to the thoughts that occur in this mind.
Yeah.
And I lose track of what I think I knew when I was 4 or 5, that my inner life is really intimate with the whole universe, intimate with your life and trees and stars. It's the same one life. Um, and if and from that thing, like getting to know ourselves really deeply, we find we're not the kind of broken person that stumbled out of our families into the world. We're something that's full of creativity and courage and love, possibility. Even when you get into your 70s, like me, it's
Mhm.
still the flow, the natural flow of life within us.
Right.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. And, growing up as a child from having an alcoholic father, you're grown up now and you're into your career. You are
Yes.
an author.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Writing a
so much.
book, I don't think people understand how much it takes. And especially when you're writing one about your life, your
Yes.
truth, your
Yes.
experiences. It takes a lot out of you. So, congratulations and thank you for giving us that.
Thank you so much. I do really hope that people get something out of it. Yes,
So, you have two books
I do. Yes.
that you wrote. And I know that you said one of the reasons why you wrote one was because of your own healing.
Yes. The first book
Explain
was
to us
about
the first book that you wrote. I know the first book.
the first,
I was the first book wasn't Empty Bowl, Pursuit Truth in a Messy Life. It was
that's the new one.
the root lines, right?
Yes.
So the root lines that you wrote. Take us down memory lane of you writing that book and what made you want to write a book
Yes.
at
Yeah.
that stage in your life.
Well, uh, I grew in that family. I grew up with a big sister, and my big sister was my haven. She was my banisters on the stairs of life. I loved her so much. And uh, around the time before I wrote Root Lines, she got stricken with a type of blood cancer, a lymphoma, and she needed a stem cell transplant. We'd been fighting. We weren't speaking to each other. She went to blood banks trying to find a match. You have to get like a perfect match if you're going to get a transplant of your bone marrow. This is like
Mm-hmm.
growing totally new bone. So she literally sent me an email and said, I'm, probably going to die soon because I can't. And I said, let me get tested. And of course, my prayers and everything. I was a perfect match, and they donated it, and she recovered from the procedure and had some very good years of life. And I felt carried by a huge wave of spirit. Like we were born to go through this together. It was a process of healing for me, for our relationship. I can't tell it here, but as she recovered, as I recovered um, from my wounds with her and my wounds with our father, um, of just a story of healing. And I felt so swept away by it. I thought somehow it was my duty or something to tell the story and put it in print and try to express how miraculous it can be sometimes if we let life just carry us into unknown territory where we find wonderful treasures we weren't even looking for.
It was only you and your sister, two siblings?
No, there's another sister with whom I'm very close, who's my very good friend. Yeah,
And what
still
would you
living.
say, when you grow up in a household full of trauma,
Mm-hmm,
everybody's impacted differently.
mm-hmm.
Even though you're living in the same household, you're experiencing the similar things, the same things,
Yeah,
our our actions, the way that we respond to it is different. What
yes.
would you say was the reason why you and your sister, that sister, the
Mm-hmm.
relationship kind of was in still waters?
Um, yeah, you make a really good point, Jen. I think that's really true. People respond to trauma differently. And uh, I don't know how to describe in a word how I did it. I think I went for aggressive achievement and always looking good. And um, I think my older sister just kind of had different aspirations or different values. She might have been more defensive, more closed, more unavailable. I might have been more intrusive and non discriminating. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we got into a fight about how to care for my mother as she was suffering dementia and dying. So we got into a fight about that, and that got us off the skids. But I think we loved each other very deeply all along. And I think it's really important what you say about the trauma, intergenerational trauma, or the trauma that we carry from families. Like somebody will carry it as shame, somebody will carry it as rage, somebody will carry it as self hatred. This is how my father carried it, was self hatred. So, um, and that was transmitted to us. And I think in my family, my mother was victimized by my father, but my mother also played the victim and gave up her power. And I watched her do that. I know out of fear, but also of not knowing how to access her power.
Mm-hmm.
And I inherited that from her. That kind of, and it's a very secret kind of way that you give up power that nobody would know, but you're doing it. It's like if you let somebody hurt your feelings because they disrespect you, you've given them power over your feelings and
Right?
whether you feel self worth and what you're now allowed to say and you feel like you can do or say. I had to really challenge that thing I inherited from my mother to survive as a woman in the world. I think you
You
know
know,
what I mean.
it's funny that you said that because I was having a conversation with a friend and we're talking about generational trauma. What is
Mm-hmm,
passed down in the bloodline? What is
mm-hmm,
passed down unintentionally? And there's a
mm-hmm,
lot of things that we inherit and we don't even realize it until we actually take a moment, we look back and we're like, but our mom was like that. Our dad was like that.
mm-hmm.
So I do believe that generational trauma is not just going through something traumatic, something physical,
Yes,
but it's
I agree.
going, we go through those experiences of not knowing how to speak up for ourselves,
Yes,
not knowing how to manage our finances properly because we watched our parents mishandle
yes,
finances. So
yes,
it's something that we just naturally picked up. We inherited it. We started to
Yeah.
carry it, and then we birthed it in our own life.
Yes.
So I do agree with you wholeheartedly on that, because I was the same way. I inherited a lot from my mom, not realizing it, even though I tried so hard not to be like her.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
You realize how much you become the pushover, you become the silent one, you become the one
Yeah.
that's gonna just
Yeah.
let things roll off your back, right? So I'm glad that you realized that, you noticed it, you were aware of it,
Yes.
and you broke away from that.
Yes. And this is, a message that I know you continually share with your women listeners or female oriented listeners, um, that we have to go in and find the really deep power. And when we feel wounded, mistreated, broken, who is that person inside that we're going to find? We're so afraid that there's nobody there. We're so
Right.
afraid that we stop right where the panic begins. But we are much deeper. There's so much underneath that, and it's given to you by this life. It's not something you have to create or earn. It's your birthright to access that deep happiness, that courage. You're
Yeah.
nodding.
Yeah. And you know what? I really appreciate you saying that and writing the book, because if we talk about it even deeper, we're never taught how to move past the tears. We're never taught how to move past feeling hurt. We're never
Yeah.
taught how to channel other feelings, how to process them, and then find that inner person, find that
Yes.
inner strength, and say, okay, well, you know what? It happened, but I'm going to get over it.
Well,
So I find,
let's talk about rape,
right.
as what you just said so applies to my own experience,
Yeah.
which is in the second book, The Empty Bowl. But um, the main thing is that happened when I was in my 30s. So I don't know, that must be I don't know, 70s, I guess, um,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe the 80s. And I didn't realize it was a rape and have a memory of what actually happened to me until the 2018 Kavanaugh hearings, when there was a woman who claimed that Kavanaugh had assaulted her as a teenager, and it brought the image and memory of my rape as in my 20s. And I realized that was not just an aggressive man having sex with me because it was the era of free love. That was a man raping me. And I did not know for, I don't know, 40 years or something, what had actually happened to me. I lied to myself about it because the profound shame of being
Mm-hmm.
treated that way, treated like such shit. May I say that on your show?
It's okay. I love the authenticness. I love the rawness. We'll bleep it out if we have to. But
Yeah,
you said you didn't realize until, was that a decade?
no, from 1975 to 2018,
That's
35, 40 some years.
that's more than a decade.
Yeah,
That's more than a decade that you
yeah.
didn't realize. And you know what? I'm going to sit there with you for a minute, because it goes to show you how the generations change. And I say that breaking generational cycles is a lifestyle, because as you go through different generations, you're learning to
Hmm.
break cycles in different ways. You're learning to talk about it. You're learning more things about things. So, for example, that was the 70s.
Hmm.
In the 70s, that was perfectly normal. So you didn't even realize
Isn't
that it.
that it? That, yes, yes.
So in the
Isn't
70s,
that?
you didn't realize that it was something that it was wrong. It was
Hmm.
a violation.
Yeah, yeah.
But in 2018, you finally realized, oh my gosh,
Because someone else had the courage to speak out, it
because
triggered a
somebody,
space where I was safe to have my memory.
and this is why we go back to why it's so important. And it's commendable that you wrote the book, because until somebody does it and lets the other person know that it's okay,
Hmm.
they won't know that it's wrong. It's something that they should be speaking about, something they should be healing from,
Yes, yes,
something they should be confronting, right?
yeah,
And I'm sorry that it took you so long.
yeah, thank you.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm really sorry that it took you so long, because, even right now, we see a lot of women coming out, women and men, and they're
yes,
speaking about their traumas and the things that they went through. And people are like, well, why did you take so long? Because
I
they
know.
had no idea. Did you ever think of that? The fact that they had no idea that what happened to them was something that was wrong?
Yes,
There's a
yes,
lot of children that get assaulted and they don't know that it's wrong because nobody taught them. Nobody
yes,
set the tone for them as a child to say, if something like this happens, you should know that it's inappropriate. You should know that
yeah.
you have a safe space, and I'm that safe space.
And something I think you're speaking to here, Jen, is we should not be ashamed or feel guilty about the difficulty we have being in the world after we have been traumatized and we have wounds. We should not be ashamed that it is difficult for us, that we may have to say, I can't go to that party. It's too triggering when XYZ is there. And
Right.
just have some self respect about it. We don't have to feel weak. And I just really want to encourage people to believe in ourselves, so we
Yeah.
can write ourselves out of these stories that have been pumped into our heads that aren't true.
Right. The story that we shouldn't be living after, that we're no good, we're damaged
Yeah.
goods,
Yes.
those
Yeah.
things that we need to get rid of out of our head so we can actually live a fulfilling life, a life that is meaningful. So I
Well,
I agree with you. Can you tell me about that experience for you when you
mm,
realized in 2018 that you had went through SAD? What was that like for you? What was that awakening like?
it was so disturbing. I took it to therapy, or maybe I realized it in therapy. I can't remember, but I remember that I just started weeping. And I remember I jumped up on the couch, standing on the couch, and ran out of the room and went into the ladies' room to be alone. And she just had to wait there in the consult room until I came back. I had found the composure, and I just was re traumatized. It was very difficult. And in fact, to help me process it, she had me write the chapter that is in the book. And so that ended up being the first thing I wrote, that turned into the story.
What was that healing process like for you? I mean, it happened so long ago, and
Mhm. Yeah.
the healing part is, it's a whole experience, I call it. You go through so many different emotions, so
Yes.
many different mindsets. You don't even know what to do some days. What
Yes.
was that like for you?
Isn't that funny that after all those years and whatever age I was, 60 something, whatever, um, I would some days just feel like so ashamed and trashy with the
Mhm.
memory that I didn't want to tell anybody that that's what I
Yeah.
was working. And then when I did tell somebody what I was working on in therapy and with myself, they'd be like, oh, yeah, so many women are going through that, which felt like it trivialized
Yeah.
my experience because I was like, really upset and
Yeah.
re traumatized. Um, so I found it hard to really find a safe place. And I'll tell you what, I learned to self regulate as I learned to calm down the panicky feelings. And then for a while, I didn't want to be around men. But there are four guys in my life who are just my best friends, and I love them to death. So
Yeah.
I couldn't really stay away from men, but they were a little triggering for a while. For yeah, a couple of years.
How did you deal with that, telling them that? Because, I find that transparency is key. And a lot of times we don't know how to express it to people that, hey, certain things are triggering for me. You are
Yeah,
triggering for me, and I need that break. Did you ever have to
yeah.
go through that with them?
No, I I didn't do that. I put up my facade and stumbled my way through. Did my healing a little bit more in the dark.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
confess.
And you going through that and putting up the facade, what would you say to other women or men that are going through that where, they don't want to feel that shame? They don't want to have to break it down to their friends and family. Some people
Yes,
are triggering to them because maybe a friend reminds them of the person who assaulted them, the person who
yes.
victimized them. What would you tell them to do?
Well, gosh, I don't want to give advice, but I want to say, if it's important to you to be able to be intimate with people, it means you have to let them see you.
Mhm.
And this is very hard for those of us with wounds to really let somebody see something like my jealousy or my envy or my fear or my stupid projections, or all these things, or my shame. Because from the outside, the things we're ashamed of just don't look that bad to other people.
I know, right? They just don't understand until you're living with that shame. You can't understand why we're ashamed of it. It's almost
Yeah.
like we're walking around them naked.
So if you want to be intimate with people, you're going to have to allow some people to see that. And
Mhm.
I recommend choosing wisely
Yeah.
and going slow. There's not a lot of people who have gone deep into themselves and found peace that they can share with others. So a lot of times you might not find what you're hoping for. So stay safe.
I like that. I mean, I know you said you didn't want to give advice, which I don't think that's necessary advice. It's just a little bit of encouragement, because
Yeah,
when you're going through the chaos and the roller coaster, sometimes you want somebody else who's experienced what you have to kind
yeah,
of help you navigate a little bit. So I'll
yeah.
call that a good navigation that you just gave
Thank you.
to
And
help them. Because
I'd like to add there are many wonderful men who are really sorry about what happens to women and would never do
yeah,
that in their own lives.
yeah,
And let's find those guys.
yes, let's really find. And you know what I like? I've been on TikTok recently, more so than ever, and I have seen a lot of men, speaking up, and I love it that they're speaking on our behalf.
Yes,
Because it's a lot
yes,
when it's
very.
just us, and then people make it seem like, oh, well, you're complaining, get over it. It happened so long
Mm-hmm,
ago. Why are you still holding on to it?
mm-hmm,
Unless you lived it, you'll never understand it. And I always say,
yeah,
where you don't understand, just be quiet and listen.
yes. And yet, Jen, let's also add the goal is to heal from it and move on, to let go of it, not to
Yeah.
carry revenge or I don't I don't mean to be pushing here, but um, the goal is to find within ourselves the capacity to heal and find power and be able to be in the world safely because of our own strength. For me,
That that is the goal. That is the goal, is to heal and be able
hmm
to move on and live and not have that thing continuously poking at us and holding us back from living our lives and becoming the
hmm
person we're supposed to
yeah,
be. And I think
yeah,
a lot of people need to understand that healing doesn't happen overnight. it's stages, right? And you have to take
Yes,
the time to go through those stages so that you can live. Because I find a lot of people who don't fully heal, they're not aware that they didn't heal. They think when they're
yes,
done crying and they're no longer thinking about it, that's the healing. That's not the healing.
yeah.
You got to go
Have you
through the.
ever pulled a muscle, like a calf muscle or something from working out or running
Yep.
or something? Or and you know, you put ice on it and heat on it for 24 hours and then you're back out there. Oops, I
Right.
hadn't quite healed.
Hasn't quite healed. You have to listen
Yeah,
to a doctor's order, sit out for 3 to 6 weeks as they recommend,
yeah,
and let the healing process take its course.
yes. It really does happen. The layers build up from underneath and you come out, you know, fresh and whole.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. So, would you say when you wrote the second book, that
mhm.
was a different type of release for you? I know you wrote the Rooted Lines, and that was a completely different book. That's about family stuff and
Yeah,
generational.
yeah.
But when you wrote the other book, was
Well,
that more of a relief that you didn't know you needed?
um, I wanted to tell the story of one person trying to find God. And it turned into the story of telling one person's journey to find themselves. And I want to say that like the self, myself, like two separate words. My self, like myself is a deep thing. It's a
Yeah.
deep, real thing. It doesn't stop, like I said, where panic starts. There's
Mhm.
so much underneath that that feeds our lives. And I just wanted to tell the story of that continuing to happen and happen and happen and throughout my life as a way of encouraging other people to find themselves in their own power, their own way. I mean, mine was my own stumbling path. I don't recommend it, but that was mine. But for each of us to find our deepest self and all the beauty and strength it contains.
Nice. So you are now a UC Berkeley trained scientist.
I
Can you
was, yes.
can you explain your transition from spiritual seeker to a scientist?
Oh, yeah. The question for me was like, what's real? What's really going on? Who am
Mhm.
I? What am I? What am I really? Am I a soul trying to get to God? Am I just biology? Am I just cells and biology and physics? Is there someone in here? Is it just psychological patterning and genetics, or is there someone who matters? Does the universe care about me? I
Mhm.
just had the basic question: do I belong here? Am I real? What am I? And that pursuit um, was intellectual and also did spiritual practices, trying to understand that. But really, it's just bumping through life. I got more and more understanding of what I am, and life would force me to go deeper. And as I've just said several times in the podcast, finding within myself these things that I thought I would get from God, but or that God or the universe provides them within myself for me. So it's my story of how I found happiness, contentment, and freedom through that search.
Nice. You know, when you hear scientists and spiritual journey, a lot of people they get scarce. We're
Uh
not
huh.
supposed to ask questions that don't make sense or don't
Yes.
fall in line with other people's beliefs. But I'm a strong believer that when you're getting to know yourself, you want to know more. You
Yes.
want to know where you come from. You want to ask God questions. You want to search for the answers, right?
Yes.
And some people may not agree with that, but I think we all go through that, especially when we go through certain traumas in our life, our family experiences. We want to know.
Yes, yes,
We want to know
agree.
why. We want to know, was this meant for me, or was I just planted here? So
Yes,
it was
does God care about me? Does the universe care? Why doesn't anybody help me? These
right.
questions go on in our hearts. It's,
So at 73, you got answers to your spiritual quest. Can you
yeah.
explain that to us? Like, what was that like? What were the answers that you got to what you were searching for?
I found that what I had been looking for was present in my own everyday experience. Somebody taught me a way of looking within and kind of asking the question, well, noticing, okay, I have, I feel my feet on the floor and I hear sounds and I smell smells and I've had all this sensual experience. But what is it that is experiencing? What is it that's experiencing all these different things? A thought, a sound, something is experiencing it. It's not a thing, it's a presence of some kind. And it's aware because I can say I know about it. I'm aware. It's aware. There's like awareness in us. Um, and as I followed that and paid attention to the awareness, I found myself in touch with a very deep, quiet layer of myself, like the bottom of an ocean, where you would imagine everything is still and calm. It's not true in biological reality, but let's
Mm,
just pretend the bottom of an ocean, whereas our lives are the waves on top, so tumultuous and difficult and challenging. But we're connected all the way down at the bottom. And guess what? We're connected to everybody. We're connected to everything, all the animals and rocks and each other and Jupiter.
mhm,
And I found that I'm just a little bubble of that presence. We could call it God. It's the presence that's present in every single one of us and is given from a deep, deep source where we're all connected. Once I realized that that's who I am, I'm not the lady who's getting old and is scared of dying and has regrets about X, Y, and Z and
mhm,
struggles with this thing or that thing. I'm not that limited person. I'm a much deeper being of truth, goodness, and beauty. And so are you, so is everybody. And the more I allow myself to feel that, the more I can forgive my personality, all the troubles I've brought into my life, all the things I didn't solve, um, all the efforts I've made and the achievements I've accomplished and the love I've given.
yeah,
I'm detached from it. It's like you said, it's like my mask. That's like
mhm.
my life show, but who I am is even deeper than my life show. That took a long time, but that's the main thing, to find that depth in ourselves.
And I can tell that you really did find that depth. I could tell by the way that you smile and the way you speak, you're very happy and you're enjoying the person you are now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's a real plus. Because I used to be so down on myself that I couldn't enjoy being me or with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yes. And oh
Finding
God,
finding that is so important. And in your
yeah.
book Empty Bowl, you discuss in finding beauty in life's messiness. What practices or mindset do you encourage to help others embrace imperfection?
Yeah. Um, what really worked for me was to begin to sense myself as aware, quiet, probably eternal being, endless being, uh, and to feel myself to be that, which makes me, at, at one with God, however we might conceive God, because everything is God. There's nothing else. Everything is the one being expressing itself in all these miraculous ways. The more I let myself feel that really, then the less I'm preoccupied with the pain of my personal life experience. And it allows me to completely forgive myself. What did I know?
Yeah.
What did I know?
You didn't know anything. You didn't know anything. You were just learning.
Yeah, did I get a book?
Yeah.
So I think I did a great job. Um, I have a wonderful family. People love me. You know, I'm doing great.
I love it. Really love it. When people are trying to discover themselves,
Yeah,
um, they go to different things. They try different methods. They read books. They watch shows when they're trying to discover who they are.
yes,
What steps would you tell them that they could possibly take? Stuff that maybe worked for you, to discovering who they are and just
yes.
taking the time with self. Yeah.
Instead of looking for happiness in the outside world, I gave up after many disappointments on trying to find it in the outside world and turned to finding it in myself first. And that inward journey, um, I was taught finally at this really almost 70 years old how to look in my experience deeper than, oh, I feel ashamed, deeper than my feelings, to be like
Mhm.
the witness who has a feeling, but not the feeling. So that I didn't say, I am afraid. I would say, fear is arising. It's in my body, it's in my thoughts, but
Right.
I am the experiencer. I'm separate. I don't know if that makes sense, but to be the witness and to pay attention to the witness of experience rather than always working just with experience, um, is a is the is a way to find your own inner happiness. Then I enjoy my boots and my jacket, my car so much more
Yeah.
because I feel whole and complete coming from that inner happiness. Then I'm just celebrating the fun of having these toys instead of trying to look good and, compare myself to others and try and be enough, try and be good enough, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So turning inward and maybe trying to notice the witness a little more than you notice what the witness is witnessing.
Yeah. So actually taking the time to like yourself and love yourself.
Absolutely.
So the things that you have, you're actually enjoying them rather than, okay, I bought it just to say that I had it. I bought a Louis Vuitton bag just to say I got a Louis Vuitton bag because I want to outdo people
And
and I want to show that I have money, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I I get what you're saying and I understand it. Rather than looking at experiences as, okay, that experience happened, that thing happened, now I got to deal with it.
yeah,
Look at the experience as a life lesson. Okay, this happened. Why did it happen?
yeah. And you
What could
are
I
not,
have done differently? What can I take my, and it's funny because
yeah,
I always say enjoy the healing process and enjoy each experience in your life. Because if
yes,
you're actually enjoying it, like you said, you feel better because you can look back at it and be like, I went through that and I
yes,
remembered every feeling while I was going through. It wasn't something I was rushing through or like a
yes,
problem that I needed to solve. So I agree with you. That's a good way to look at self discovery.
yeah. Stand back a little bit and see the being that you are, who's really creatively competent to deal with a lot, you
Agree.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because when you see yourself as that person, you can dominate anything if you really wanted to,
yeah,
rather than waddling in the situation. or pulling yourself like, it's a chore. Well, it happened. Now I got to drag myself out of it rather than, okay, it happened. I can learn something from this. I learned
Yes,
something new about me.
yes. And
You're
I
right.
think some of us can get a little stuck in wanting to prove how bad it was. So we have to always have a broken hip or something. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
We always have to have proof.
we got to have proof. So I think it's very important to find some way to come to acceptance.
Yeah.
Just like this is what happened to me. I can tell it, I can speak it, I can share it, I can also recover from it.
I agree.
Yeah. I
Can
mean, it's
you
just so much better.
can you share a pivotal moment that happened in your life that helped shape your growth?
I guess there are a couple of them in the book, and I wonder if I want to pick one. But I think I'm going to go back to the very one I mentioned at the beginning of your podcast is praying that my dad wouldn't drink. I love my father, and I wanted to find an answer to life's secrets to share with him so that he could get
Mhm.
sober and be happy. And uh, when I realized I was drinking like he was and acting like he did, I wanted to get sober so bad because I didn't want to ruin my life the way he had ruined his life. I wanted to find the solution, not be the tragedy. So
Yeah.
he really motivated me uh, to keep going until I found my birthright of real happiness and peace. And I wish he were alive. I'd share it with him. In my daydreams, I pretend I find him in the afterlife and show him the
Yeah.
way.
When your dad passed away, you guys had a good relationship? You guys were on good terms?
It was a little rocky. I think I had just accused him of sexually molesting my sister, and he was dying of cancer, and I didn't realize it. So I kind of hit him when he was super low. It was kind of rough. But I did get down there to visit him and hold his hand, and I used a healing technique that I'd learned from a Buddhist teacher of breathing along with the rate of breath of the patient when they're
Mm.
in those last few days. And I sat and breathed with him at his pace for an hour or so, and I felt so at peace and so deeply connected and so full of
Mhm.
forgiveness on both sides. And
Yeah.
it was really a healing.
That was your older sister you were referring to?
That was my dad. That was my
No,
dad.
no, you said your sister was being molested, right? Is
Oh
that the older
yes,
sister?
yeah, yes,
The reason why I asked is because, we talk about I said in the beginning that our experiences and being raised in the same household, the experiences can leave a different effect on us, right? And
yeah,
sometimes different siblings are experiencing things that we're not even aware of.
hmm,
And sometimes we look at them and we say, well, why are they this way? Why don't we get along? Not realizing that the older
mm,
sibling is carrying a burden that they can't even tell us about.
yes, yeah,
So, it goes back to what you were saying about the relationship with your older sister. And, you know, you can see where a little bit of it stems from,
yeah.
right? So it
I
can
can see
be,
a lot of it.
yeah. So that must have been
Wh-
really challenging for her.
Yes,
So I can imagine. Um, what advice would you give to listeners who are feeling overwhelmed by their circumstances? What are some simple effects and steps that you can give them or advise them or, suggest to them that they can take?
such a provocative question. I know so many people who are challenged right now in one way or another, and the only thing that I can say is don't give up and trust yourself and trust the universe is going to show up for you somehow. Could be somebody who gives you a job or somebody who gives you housing for temporarily while you get something going. Um,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
me, in my 60s. I couldn't find any work, and it was really scary time. And for a while, I built decks and I delivered newspapers, and uh, I found little things that I could do so that. And I would like to say, you made me think of this just now. Having a little bit of income somehow gives you so much self-respect. And sitting on the couch crying about the frigging mess you're in just tears you down.
Yeah.
So I found it's worth it, sell coffee, be a barista, even if just get out there and get something going for yourself. We can have a little self respect. We live in an economy run by money, so we can't barter, our services
Hmm.
very
Yeah.
easily or successfully. We have to earn money, but and I know that's so easy to say, and then it's so difficult to find opportunities. But I believe that every human being is born with happiness and peace deep inside, and maybe not all of us are going to get to reach that, but I'm pretty sure that most of the hard times I've gone through were the opportunities to go deeper and deeper in myself that led me to my happiness.
Yeah.
So some of these challenges could be gifts in that strange package we call life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Don't give up.
Don't give
Keep
up.
loving. Keep loving. Keep loving
Keep loving.
yourself.
Keep loving yourself and keep loving others because we never know what other people are going through. And that little bit of love that you can offer them,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference in somebody's lives.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I told you these books, they're important.
Yes.
They I say our experiences aren't souvenirs that we just keep on a shelf and just shine them and pull them out whenever and be like, look, this is what I went through. Our experiences
Mm-hmm.
for other people to
Mm-hmm.
help other people get through. So those books
Mm-hmm.
are important. And again, thank you for sharing it with us because we absolutely needed it. This world needs
Right.
it, and other generations are going to purchase your book and use it in their life. It's a tool for them, it's a roadmap. So I really, 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 again, want to thank you so, 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 so much for finding the courage to do
Well,
it.
you make me feel really good.
You have no idea. Like, and I think people
Thank
don't
you.
realize how much we watch shows, but when we read books from other people's life experiences that are real and they made it through, you made it through. You thrived. You not only thrive, but you are successfully happy within self.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
is an
Mm-hmm.
indicator to somebody else that listen, if Rikki can do it, you can do
Yes, that is totally my hope to
it.
communicate.
And the hope is amazing because when I, me, I'm big on that, and I see it, I was like, okay, this gives me more hope than I already had.
Yeah, great.
So as you continue your life journey and you continue to go through your healing process, continue to love on yourself, continue to discover different layers of yourself and who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are your future aspirations? What are you looking forward to? What are the things you're looking forward to do? What are your plans?
Gosh, it's so simple. I simply want to allow that deep happiness and contentment to flow into the world through my body. I, I like to sit and play my guitar. I like to read books. I like to travel. I like to spend time with family. I like to go to the gym. I like to go for walks. I like to hang out with my wife and make dinner. I like to go out to dinner with my friends. That's it. I want to enjoy being, being alive. Every day I face anxiety. I wake up depressed about the condition of the world. That's
Yeah.
part of my life. I allow it. I allow it like a bowl of flowers. to be in me as part of how I'm responding to the world right now. Um, and I want to just be attentive and present like that for the rest of my life.
That is simple and it is beautiful. Sometimes we ask people like, what are you looking forward to? Well, I'm looking forward to buying a house, and all those things are great. Of
Yes, they
course,
are important.
they are
Yes.
important, they're great, but the simple blessings of life, just being able to open our eyes and still live, smell fresh air,
Mm-hmm.
the simple thing you said of cooking with our partners, our children,
Yes,
our loved ones, eating dinner as a family,
yes, yes. And
and seeing the chaos in the world.
so many people can't sit down and have dinner with their family.
So many
It's
people have
just,
lost all their family. The fire in
yeah.
California.
Ooh,
And I don't think people realize the simple blessings of life is the most greatest blessings in life.
yeah. They're
Because we can
worth
replace a
appreciating.
home, we can replace a car, you can make money, you can get a new job, but time you can never get back.
Hmm.
Loved
And,
ones, once they're gone, we can't go back in time and redo things that we wish we could have done.
yeah, yeah,
So those simple blessings that you said that you're looking forward to and
yes.
continue your journey on, that's it for me. That's it for me. And, you know, I can't thank you enough for just being the light that we need, especially for me. Like, I'm younger, obviously, but just seeing you as a mother
Hmm.
and being able to look up to you and, say, when I grow up, I want to be like you, just to be so happy and free.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to find in yourself, and I'm sure you will. It's right there. I think it's
it's
right
it's
here.
it's
You
a
already
journey, right?
have.
Yeah.
I like to say it's a journey of 1,000 miles that requires not a single step
Yeah.
because it's already right here. But we have to go through all these hardships for some reason to find it all. So let's face them with courage, holding hands.
I love that. And if there's anything you can leave with our listeners, any message, word of advice, encouragement that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
Um, I guess if I had to sum things up, I would say trust yourself. That goes so deep. I mean that. Trust yourself in finding God, trust yourself in finding the right people, trust yourself in finding the right work. I don't know. The whole the whole enchilada. You are a perfect being already, and the truth will come through you. So trust it.
Thank you for that. And for your books, your amazing books, I know that they can purchase it on your website, but if you can leave them with where they can access your books and purchase it, how they can get in contact with you.
Well, Rikki West. So you can go to Rikki at rikkiwest.com is my email address.
Mhm.
And my web page is www.rikkiwest.com. So you can go to my web page, you can see the book and click on this stuff. And the book's on sale at all the places online with your Google
Amazon,
Play and Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the places.
amazing. Do you have
So
any other
yeah.
upcoming books?
No, I think I'm done for a few years. I'm going to take a
Okay.
little break. I got a lot
Yeah.
of songs to learn. I got a lot of hiking to do.
I should have asked you to pull out your guitar and start playing something for me, but
No, I'm too shy.
it was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much
joining
for the
me.
conversation. I really appreciate you and the work that you do. You're so young and you have the courage to put yourself out there, bring people forward like me. And I listen to a number of your podcasts, let people tell their stories and share their experience, strength, and hope. Yeah, you go, Jen.
Ooh! Thank you, Rikki. I feel good. Guys, thank you for tuning in with me and my phenomenal guest, Rikki West. She is a powerhouse. I absolutely love her. I'm enjoying meeting new people in 2025. That is something that I've been looking forward to, is connecting with different people, different mindsets, different walks of life. And it's an amazing feeling, like absolutely amazing. So, guys, thank you for tuning in with me, your girl, Jen Simpson, and tuning in to Life's Deceit podcast. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, comment, comment. Tune in to the next episode because your girl is coming back with some great things, some pour out, and I can't wait to have a great time with you guys. Until next time, I'm Jen Simpson. Mwah.